Here's a long-awaited review on the Tensor MAGLITE, the new all-terrain geometry ATG. I'm trying to make it all sound cool, and they still suck. Like I tried Tensor when I was a kid because I liked riding Mullen. I didn't really know too much about other trucks, so I kept riding Tensors. Then I tried other trucks, realized they were way better. Then I tried to go back to Tensor when they first came out with their MAGLITEs or MAGTens. I don't even know. That was like 10 to 15 years ago. And they were light, but the bushing. I didn't like how they skated. They were too low to the ground and got wheel bite. So then I moved on to like doing Indies and Thunders. Then they said, ooh, Tensor has the all-terrain geometry. It's all new. They're the best. They've changed the game. They've like really caught up. So I decided to try them. A benefit though is they are higher than the original MAGLITEs. The other ones were like this low to the board. You just wheel bite. So these, like, you can actually turn. You actually feel like you're on a normal skateboard, and they're super lightweight. Definitely the lightest weight trucks on the market, and that makes a huge difference. Some people don't like lightweight trucks. I do. Snappier pop, better flicks. The problem is they don't turn right. It's not natural. Like, I'm not trying to be too brutal, but I don't know how to explain it. So like the bushings, obviously when I first got them, I don't know if they still do it, but let's listen. Ah, okay. So they're not squeaking. When I first got them, it just sounded like you were a DJ from the 90s or something every time you were trying to turn. I didn't like them. Then they started kind of loosening up. That was better. It was hard to even keep them tight. They had this weird spongy feeling, like I said, that squeaky rubber. People are like, oh no, you'll break them in, then they'll get all responsive and nice. It's been a year or 11 months. They're not like, they're broken in, they just don't have that turn geometry down. Are they better than the original Tensors? The original magnesiums back in the day? Yeah. They've improved. Obviously, the higher up thing is better. You get more snap and you get more turning. But the way to explain turning compared to other trucks is you lean into a turn, and then when you lift you relax your foot. Obviously, you're like leaning into the turn. You're putting weight. When you stand back up onto the middle of the bolts and you're trying to balance. Like the board, the trucks, the bushings, they kind of want to, they just want to go back to normal. So that's how other boards are. The thing with Tensor boards, the Tensor trucks, is they turn, and then when you like lift your heel up, the board doesn't. It just wants to keep turning. You have to manually push the other side like a seesaw to lift the truck up. So you have to relearn all of your muscle memory movements when you're skating these Tensor trucks. Where like Thunders, you go into like a really, you're trying to like do a setup, like you're riding up to a ledge and it's like really tight. So you're like, doing these little micro movements and like riding up to it to get the perfect angle. And like the board will respond. It wants to go back to flat. Tensor trucks, no, you gotta like force and guide the board around. Like it doesn't want to just spring back and rebound to the normal position. So it messes things up. If you land like a trick like that's not, like you land a trick that's bolt, but then you'll land a board like, maybe you're too toe heavy or something, so you kind of land like that, and so it like squishes down. You don't get wheel bite because again these are taller. That's what's nice. But say you land like that and the impact compresses the board and squeezes it down, then you stand back up and you raise your toe up and you get back flat-footed onto the board. The board just still wants to do that and then carve. So like it's hard to just flip a trick, land bolts, and then just like kind of keep cruising. Like if you don't land perfect, the board's just gonna wanna carve out of the turn, and you have to manually pull it up. So that's what's bad about it. The other thing is, I originally went into this with the idea because I was like measuring these trucks wrong at the shop, and I thought that Tensor trucks would bring in the wheelbase kind of like Indies, because I was getting annoyed with my Thunders because they extend the wheelbase and I wanted a tighter wheelbase for like better tray flips and whatnot. Turns out they were the exact same wheelbase as Thunders, but they're higher. So if you want Thunder super high trucks, then maybe you'll like Tensors, because Thunders are also lightweight, not as lightweight. But if you want like really tall, independent high trucks that are as light as Thunders, and you want to keep the same Thunder wheelbase, then maybe Tensors are for you. It's just the turning is kind of weird. It's like they didn't have an identity like I did on my Thunder truck review. Thunders, they're very, very kind of like stiff and responsive. Like, you know, you can do little micro adjustments and it reacts to all of your foot movements. And then Indies are more like natural, surfy, kind of flowy, like longboard surfing, very, very relaxed and smooth. This, it doesn't do either of these. It's not smooth and relaxing and flowing. It's not responsive to your micro adjustments. It's just spongy and it doesn't know what it's trying to do or where it's going. So if you're just trying to do flat ground tricks and you want a truck that's like very lightweight and then maybe a little high up so you can get a better pop, and you're just skating flat ground and you're not really like going around the park and you're just staying in like your driveway, then the Tensors would be pretty good. Like, you'd probably like them. Like, they are good for flip tricks. Like, I've done some of the highest kick flips that I've ever done on this board because of the trucks. I mean, it just pop flicks. Like, obviously you have less weight, so it's able to spin faster. You got less weight because it's able to pop. Like, everything is just easier to flick. So for flip tricks and flicking, these are good trucks. They're just not good for like riding around. Another thing is with grinds, how do we not talk about trucks without talking about grinds? Even other people have said they slide really well. Do I agree? Yeah. These, like, better than metal or steel or titanium, any of the other trucks. Like, these, they're like butter. Like, they feel like, you know, when you freshly wax trucks in like a ledge and then you hit it the first few times and it's like super waxy feeling, and like you slide really well, but like it doesn't make a sound. Like, the grinds are silent because it's like soft with all the wax, and you're like, oh, that's weird. Like, it feels really buttery, but like it just doesn't have that cool grind sound. That's how this feels all the time. So you're not going to get that nice crunchy grind sound, but it's always just going to feel like every ledge you skate is waxed right away. So they grind very well. No resistance. They slide like butter. They sound like butter. So if you're really into that pinch grind kind of thing and get all of that, then maybe these aren't for you. But these are good for grinding. Okay, I'm not going to deny it. They're good for sliding. But the downside with grinding with these is they don't lock in. I don't know how to explain how they don't lock in, but normal. Here, I'll just use this as a little prop. This is going to be really hard to do with my hands. Normal ledge, you pop up, you get on, it likes to go right to the wheels. Usually you grind down a little spot that's like underneath, and you just stay locked in and you slide. These, it just wants to shift around on the corner of the ledge. Like, it does not want to find its sweet spot and then just slide. So doing 50-50s is actually pretty scary on this, because the trucks, they never lock in and stay in one place. So that's why you don't see me in any of my videos from the past years when I'm skating this board, why I don't really do any 50-50s or other stuff, because this thing, like, it'll shift around on you. Sometimes it'll just come off the ledge when you're doing a 50-50. So it's not very safe or stable. So that's why I actually started skating the real board with my Thunder trucks on that, because that one, as soon as you get into the ledge 50-50, like, it just feels like a magnet. You're locked in, you're confident, you can adjust your feet, you can do tricks in and out, all good. This doesn't lock in. Slides well. Maybe that's the problem. It just slides too well and it doesn't lock in. I don't know. Anyways, so long story short, these are very, very lightweight. Great for flip tricks, great for pop. They are great for grinding and they slide really well. The problems are they don't lock in to grinds and they don't turn naturally and they don't rebound and spring up. So when you push your foot down to go into a turn, you need to shift your weight the other way. to lift it back up like a seesaw. Like, you have to leverage it up. It will not just naturally pop back into place. So you really have to manhandle the turns on this. Not good for turning. I would not ride a steep bowl or carve some giant bowls or ride a half pipe on these trucks in a million years. Like, you couldn't pay me to do that. So do flip tricks, do some basic grinds if you like this. Don't carve bowls. Don't go cruising the streets with a lot of like turning and high speed stuff. So that's my review on the TENSOR all-terrain MAGLITE.